Game is the idea that men and women are different and that men can understand and seduce women by studying what women really want instead of what they say they want. In short, to trigger desire in women and to use that to the man's and possibly the woman's short-term advantage. Now, the above description starts off quite traditional, with men and women being different, but it quickly drifts away. This is what makes game so interesting. Most of us are familiar with a right-wing group moving to the left, but rarely does a liberal movement move to the right. Game started becoming a movement in the early 1990s as many young men came to a realization. They lived in a society that said sex was available everywhere, but that was not the reality that they experienced. They wanted to know why and how to change it. They wanted their fair share of the unlimited sex that was supposed to be out there. In time, they wanted more than their fair share. What they wanted certainly wasn't unnatural, but also wasn't very traditional. It was, however, very liberal. Here were liberal men looking for what liberalism had promised them in return for feminism, that women would want sex just as much as men did. A term you don't tend to hear now, but which was very much in vogue in the 1980s, the snag. It stood for sensitive new age guy, a man who was sensitive, empathetic to women, their needs and their emotions. Now that women were being encouraged to have their own careers and money, they didn't need a masculine man. Masculinity was out, and in its place women now needed a male girlfriend who they could have sex with. But what many liberal men were finding out was that even though the media, the schools, and many women themselves pushed this idea, women found it a massive turn-off. They wanted men. At the same time came the internet. Here is where the movement came into being. Men from around the world could ask others the same questions. They could try out techniques and find out what worked and what didn't. The aim for nearly all of these men was to pick up women, to be as promiscuous as possible, very liberal, nothing traditional. But these men did learn things. They learnt that most women didn't say what they really wanted, that women test men constantly, that being masculine was best at attracting women, even when that masculinity was damaging. But the truth was that all of this behaviour was damaging. It was about having sex and nothing more. Still very liberal. But over time, things began to change. This movement has been around for around 25 years now. It came to think beyond picking up women. It came to see that men should improve themselves. The while doing it to get women was a good way to start, it was best when done for the man's own self-improvement, that he should look after himself, learn skills, and develop his knowledge. All good things. It began to reject a core value of liberalism, that men and women are equal. For a group that started so solidly in the liberal camp, that is absolutely massive. However, there is still much that traditionalists such as myself and others find hard to accept. While we agree that men and women are different, we find it hard to accept the harsh criticisms that women attract. It is not that we do not find fault in women, as we are sometimes accused of, but that often women seem to have no redeeming features. However, that simply is not true. The movement has for some time talked about patriarchy, about restoring men to a position of authority, but at this time they have misunderstood something that traditionalists and Spider-Man do understand, that with great power comes great responsibility. Some do understand it, and in time I hope more do. But if men are to be restored to a position of authority, it also means a position of responsibility. That a man should not care about how many women he has bedded, but he should care about his legacy. In other words, that he has done things to build the future. In one article, they talk about the 5 types of alpha: the player, the hobbyist, the arsehole, the conqueror, the alpha provider. But to a traditionalist, only 2 pass muster: the conqueror and the alpha provider, because these are the only two who will leave something behind. They are the only ones who will leave a legacy. Maybe the others will leave children behind, but illegitimate children who they possibly won't know, see, or provide for? To my mind, this is no alpha at all. When a man is 18, picking up women is nearly irresistible. At 28, it still holds many attractions, but at 38 or 48, it has lost a lot of its appeal. What will your legacy be? Will you leave a legacy? Will you contribute to the future of your people? Or will you be here today, forgotten tomorrow? After all, how many men want to think that they will still be picking up women when they're 78? I do, however, have hope. I read this article, which I'll post below, and it's just so close to a traditionalist position. They aren't there yet, but rejecting one of liberalism's core beliefs is no small achievement. It is one area where I do hold out hope that something good will arise.